Hey, all, welcome to Geek Freaks. I am Frank, and today I'm joined by Jonathan.
Hey, yo.
And I am back from a 2-week vacation, so that was great. It was nice. I needed that. How did you enjoy the last 2 weeks without me?
It was pretty slow. I gotta say, didn't have any excitement over here.
You guys didn't party? I know you guys. I know you went to watch Hocus Pocus, right? Yeah, Hocus
Two,
Pocus 2
yeah,
with
yeah.
the clan. How did that go?
I thought that was good. I think everybody else there hated it,
Oh
but
well.
I thought it was a pretty good movie. So I gotta say, to me, it seemed like a good sequel to Hocus Pocus. We all know sequels are not as good as the original.
Right.
They kind of play on the fact that you already liked the first one, you're gonna go see the second one. My only complaint was their big song montage kind of thing. I wish they used a more modern song, but regardless, I thought it was a pretty good movie. I enjoyed it, but most of the Disney moms did not seem to be fans of it.
I'm editing that episode now. That's gonna be coming out on Monday.
Mhm.
So when you guys listen to this, the day before, the Disney moms talked about it. So I can't wait to see what they say about it. I haven't
I
watched
also
it yet.
I also joined the top five, the Disney moms top five Halloween,
Did you?
yeah, Disney
Cool.
Halloween movies. It was pretty fun.
Yeah. We're gonna be doing top fives for the rest of this month. Disney moms have theirs. It's gonna come out on Halloween Day, along with our top five modern horror films. So we're gonna have two top fives coming out from two different of our shows. Ecstatic about that. That's so cool. Um, Speaking of other things that we like to watch stuff, we had the She-Hulk watch party we did with a couple other podcasts, Joystick Show, and Meanwhile on the Pod. We're gonna be putting that up on the Patreon completely free. So you guys can go over there and just listen to it if you want to. It's meant to be listened to while you're watching the show. So it's a real Theater 3000 kind of thing. I was the one that didn't see it beforehand, so I have like the live reaction of like, oh shit, she's doing this weird thing. The others have already seen it, so check it out, guys. It's a lot of fun. I definitely something we're gonna be doing more of in the future. We're just trying to schedule things out now, which is the worst part of everything. Let's go ahead and talk about. We have the Disney Moms coming out this week. We have our season 3 finale for Geek Freaks interview is going to be out this weekend as well on Friday. And we have Trek Freaks coming up as well. So many things coming up for Pushing Buttons is coming out as well. I forgot about Pushing Buttons is coming out on Monday. Now, we also, one of the things that we were going to talk about on this podcast, we're going to talk about the Call of Duty debate, all about Microsoft and trying to like really fight to merge with Activision Blizzard and how like the rest of the gaming world is saying you can't do this. We break it instead of us doing it here because it was going to be like an hour long discussion anyways. We decided it's going to be a pushing button, so that came out already. Go listen to that, guys, if you want the latest on the Call of Duty debate. It's very interesting. Um, and then we're going to start streaming again. John, we're going to do community nights. Can you think of a game you'd like to play with all of us?
Oh man, so I don't know if this is a great community game. Oh yeah, I think it should be pretty. I've been playing Raft lately, and
Yeah,
I don't get into games like too often, but it really feels like a Minecraft yet on a boat for me, and I'm loving it. I'm just
yeah.
jonesing for it lately. I just want to get out there and just hop on my raft. Like it's so fun, and it's challenging because it does not let you level fast. You
No,
really
it's
have to,
frustrating too in some ways.
yeah. Oh, if you die, it sets you back so far. It is a big challenge. It's a fun game. So yeah, I'd totally be down to play some Raft on Community Night. What about
Okay.
you? Any other
Sea
suggestions?
of Thieves is always kind of a good corner one for
Oh,
us.
for sure.
And Golf with Your Friends is gonna be our first one back at community night. We used to do community
Oh,
night back during the pandemic,
yeah.
and it really
Thursday nights? Is it when's it
we
gonna
used to do
be?
it on Friday nights, and we're gonna continue doing it on Friday nights.
Oh, okay.
But we're not gonna do it weekly because again, scheduling is hell. So we're gonna do it monthly, and we're gonna likely record the sessions as well. They're gonna definitely be streamed. So
Nice.
a couple other things we're gonna be changing with the stream. We're gonna be streaming every episode of Geek Freaks now as we record them. Going forward, so you guys could watch along with us and see all the mistakes and the things that I edit out because there's a lot of times that something happens or whatever, or Daniel forgot something in his closet he has to go get or whatever. We're gonna keep it
don't
all.
don't screen capture. Those things need to go away.
Yeah, yeah, right. And then we're gonna be streaming a lot more. We're also gonna be streaming evening and morning. So it's amazing. I had to go morning one time when my internet was bad, and I basically gained new watchers that now are like, "Hey, where'd you go?" Because we're back to. So we're gonna be streaming both. So there's gonna be a time to watch everything. And we're also gonna be doing some events. We're gonna be working with the UC Davis Children's Hospital. We're gonna be raising money for them in November, and just so many cool things. I can't wait to share all the cool stuff we got coming up with our stream. We're gonna be posting the schedule on Monday, but generally it'll be like 4 days a week in different forms. It'll be a lot of fun. And that's pretty much it for the network. It's a lot going on, but we're kind of phasing into the holiday season. with Geek Freaks interviews going off season and stuff like that, and everybody else going strong. Um, but we're gonna go ahead and get into the news. But first, I want to go ahead and talk about we lost Robbie Coltrane. That's Hagrid from the Harry Potter series. Jonathan, any thoughts on Hagrid and Robbie's role?
So he's a great character. I can't think of any other characters he's played. I don't know the
He was
actor
in
very well.
GoldenEye 007. I remember that's when I first remembered him from that. But
Okay.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, just his character Hagrid was such a great character. I remember him being so like friendly and pleasant, and a joy to watch in Harry Potter specifically. But yeah, other than that, I didn't know him very well.
I remember his lines more than I think anybody else's in the movies. Were like, "You're a wizard, Harry Potter." Like all these different little lines that he has, and he had a very cool role in the fact that he was the one that not only introduced Harry to this wizarding world, but also the rest of us.
Yeah,
So he was kind of like the doorway to it. And that opening, I mean, early scene, anyways, where the two of them are going through the alley and just buying up stuff, that was just so freaking cool. And just like
Diagon Alley.
Diagon Alley, yeah. And it's just like magic is real. And this
Yeah,
guy's going to show us how it's done.
yeah, yeah. He seems like the cool uncle that you don't see often enough, but you're super excited when you do see him.
Yeah. So me, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's terrible to see Robbie Coltrane pass, and the outpouring of love for him has been very cool.
Mhm.
It's sad when somebody passes, but it's always cool to see the reaction to them. And there's been this whole wands up hashtag wands up, and everybody's been on TikTok raising their wands to Robbie, and he was again their introduction into this magical world, and that's a community in itself. So at the end, we're gonna play a clip from Robbie Coltrane where he talks about his tenure on Harry Potter and what it means, and it's pretty heartfelt. So we're gonna put that in at the very end of this. Also, before that, we're also going to do instead of recommendations, we like to spotlight indie creators as much as we can. And because Geek Freaks Interviews is going to be 3 months on vacation for they're coming back. It's January. I've already got 2 months booked in January already. Trust me, it's coming back.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's the life it is. But we're gonna be doing these indie spotlights along the way. So we have two indie spotlights at the end of this. We're gonna be talking about that. I want to make sure to share with you guys a comic book and a video game that are really cool. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the news now, Jonathan. Okay.
All right.
We're going to be doing a quick She-Hulk review. We had the entire season complete now.
Mhm.
Jonathan, you're about halfway through. I had finished it. We did the watch party. This series, out of what you've seen so far, I personally am not a huge fan of it. I liked it for what it was, but it definitely didn't feel like Marvel to me. Kind of just felt
Yeah.
like a sitcom in a way. What'd you think of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a certain group of people that love it, I
Yeah,
imagine. I just don't think it was really written for me. I don't think the CGI was an issue for me at all, at least. It didn't pull me out of it or anything like that.
yeah.
But yeah, I just think the writing and the type of story and show it is, it just wasn't something I'm really looking for right now.
I would say that the CGI was bad, but I mean, once you get past the fact that like it's just a comedy, like CGI comedies.
Yeah.
I watched, all the Arrowverse with some of the worst CGI in the world, and I'm not complaining about that, right? You just got to get through that.
Yeah.
Her breaking the fourth wall. I know you're not a fourth wall break fan.
Yeah, that just it really takes that alone takes me out of the show. Like
Yeah,
when you break the fourth wall, we're not sitting on the couch watching your show together. Like you're not in my world. So when you break the fourth wall, it just kind of really just tears apart the show for me. I don't know.
you
I
think it
can't
does it slow down storytelling? Is that kind of the hardest part for you?
I mean, it just makes it not real anymore.
I see.
None of it's believable. I like to live in this fantasy world that you created for this story,
Yeah,
but then when you try to tie that fantasy world into realism, I mean, if you really dug into it, a plethora of incoherence where these two gears don't meet each other.
oh
We
yeah,
talk in Trek Freaks all the time. We make up, headcanon to fill in the gaps. You couldn't make up enough headcanon to fill in the gaps when a fourth wall is broken in a Marvel movie. So it was just it just makes a mess of logic, and I hate
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So that ruins a movie for me.
And the finale for She-Hulk, we're not going to spoil anything, but it breaks the fourth wall even more so, to a degree that I think actually hurts the MCU. And
Mhm.
you know, the MCU's having a hard time right now, and you don't need to be messing up any more than you already are. So when they break the fourth wall so much, it makes her too strong in a way, right? Because then all of a sudden, we were talking about this beforehand. She could just go to somebody and say, I don't like Thanos. Can we change that and change Thanos or be gone with Thanos? That makes her too
Yeah,
strong.
that's crazy. Marvel
So
needs
it's
to get back to
yeah,
Iron Man, like the original.
I
Just
know.
take it down a notch. Pick a good, maybe not well known, but a stable hero or comic book series. Let's make a simple movie based on them and kind
Yeah.
of build from that.
I think that Marvel has to diversify themselves as much as possible. We talked about this many times on the show. Uh, and so in that, like with Miss Marvel, with some of their shows, right? They're just like, hey, this isn't for me, but I get it. This is just something they have to do. DC does this all the time. They've been doing it for a long time, making sure there's a corner for
Mhm.
everybody. I'm totally on board with that. As long as they don't mess up the grand MCU that you guys have purposely been trying to build for over 10 years now.
Yeah,
This one negatively impacts the MCU.
yeah,
So then I have a problem with it. Otherwise, I mean, yeah, and I will say, by the way, outside of the impact on Marvel or the fact that it's Marvel at all, I did enjoy a lot of the news story every week. There was some fun stuff going on. I kind of imagine that it's in its own little bubble and not going to touch anything. And if I knew that was the case, heck yeah, you do what you want to do.
mhm.
The fact that I know it's not, that we could have it actually leads into a future Hulk movie and stuff like that. Like we know it's not in its own bubble, then that means that everything she's doing is greatly impactful.
Yeah, yeah. If they started the first episode with Loki showing that this was a branch that got erased or something like that,
Yeah.
perfect. Do anything you want. I don't care. Turn it into stick figures. It doesn't matter because it's a branch that got erased. But the fact that it does impact the MCU, then it's like, okay, this stuff has to make some kind of sense. And when it doesn't, that's really frustrating.
Yeah, I remember when the Loki finale came out, people were like, "Oh man, that's too impactful for the end of a series that people aren't going to see a lot of." And then it's like when you're looking at this, you're like, "Yeah, but I mean, now she just overrid. She can, she
Yeah.
hasn't, but she can override whatever she wants at this point."
Yeah.
And we talked about the watch party how much they changed Daredevil's character in this. He's a lot more lighthearted and stuff like that. And my explanation was like, I honestly think this is just Matt Murdock on vacation. He's even got a different suit. Like he's definitely not Matt Murdock on Hell's Kitchen in this,
Yeah.
but I have to justify that, and I don't know if Marvel should have fans trying to justify the way people are acting differently than normal.
Yeah. I mean, we do it from time to time to make two ends that we like meet each other.
Yeah,
But when you're taking an end that you like to an end that you're not happy with, and you're bending them both to meet each other, you're just distorting a character that you like into something that's just okay, and that's not
yeah.
great.
And the other thing too is like with what you guys do on Trek Freaks, a lot of times you guys will do that headcanon where you guys will make two ends meet. But it's
Yeah,
kind of fun in jest, it's not real. But here
yeah,
we're
and
trying
so
to just like make something make sense when
yeah,
everything's supposed to make sense.
and sometimes we could base it in the logic that has already been established. It's just things
Right.
that weren't really said in the episode, and sometimes you can't. Sometimes you do have to kind of be creative with it. But yeah, in this, it's just like when she breaks the fourth wall, that's just too much. It's so far outside of what you can justify, so it kind of ruins it.
Yeah. Let's move on to some other Marvel news. So for She-Hulk, I'm giving it a solid C. Um, Jonathan was just asking me, "Hey, should I finish watching it?" My opinion, Jonathan, honestly, is you're okay. You don't necessarily need to finish watching it.
Yeah.
But if you're wanting something, and I don't take it seriously, then yeah, definitely finish watching it.
Mhm.
But you don't like fourth wall breaks, and man, it shatters
No,
that fourth wall in the
I
last episode.
and I know almost nobody agrees with me, but Deadpool, I
I know.
don't like the show, the movie at all. And a lot of people, it was huge. Everybody loved it. I'm just like, dude, I can't watch it. It just ruins watching a movie when they break the fourth wall like that. And I used to watch Malcolm in the Middle just fine, but for some
Oh
reason,
shit! Yeah, that's a good one.
in a regular movie, it doesn't work for me. I don't know.
God, we should do top 5 wall breaks and see how much you fall apart.
Right? It'd be interesting to see a list of those.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some good ones. Truman Show's kind of like a fourth wall break, but where actually there's a fifth wall you don't see or something like that. Like I like the Truman Show a lot
A
because
false fourth wall.
yeah, it's a false fourth wall, really is what it is. God, that's a good movie.
It's
But the way
such a
like the
good
friends
movie.
look at the camera and stuff like that, it's like, oh, they're breaking the fourth wall, but really they're not because it's all within the movie still. So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. Anyways, let's talk about other Marvel news. This is kind of
Mhm.
old news, but again, I was on vacation, y'all, and of course they had announced this like the day before I left. Logan is going to be joining Deadpool.
Nice.
Okay, now it's Hugh Jackman. He already
Yeah.
did a perfect Logan movie, and I love Wolverine, of course. Like, if I ever have kids, it's gonna be Bruce and Logan. I'm a nerd. Jonathan, how are they gonna bring Wolverine to the MCU?
Well, I mean, he's almost immortal, right? So
Yeah.
he can be any age. So
Yeah.
what's the problem with bringing him into the MCU?
Well, I'm just wondering how you want to, like, if you were to be the writer, how are you going to do it? You're going to have fun with it, right? You have Deadpool who's going to be doing it, so imagine that,
Um,
right? What
yeah,
version of, like, how are you going to want to do this? What is the story you'd want to go with?
yeah. I don't know. So for me, I wouldn't want to bring in just Logan. I mean, and it sounds like that's what they're doing is just bringing him in alone, which is cool. I would want to bring in young Logan, but I think MCU's progressed past that timeline. But I would rather bring in the full X-Men and him now at this time, since we've seen so many movies, bring him in as an older professor with the young X-Men. But it doesn't sound like if they're bringing him in
No,
alone, it doesn't
yeah.
sound like they would do that kind of thing. So
I think they're going to bring him in as younger Wolverine, to be honest with you.
really, but Hugh
Yeah.
Jackman still play because Hugh Jackman said he's playing him, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they could DH him or whatever. He could be old, doesn't matter.
Well,
But
I mean, I mean, even in like the later Wolverine ones, like the one where he went to Japan and stuff like that, he doesn't look like a spring chicken anymore. There's a reason he's not playing Wolverine much after this.
that's true. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, really, he doesn't look that old. Just give him some black hair dye, and he's in his early 40s again. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know the storylines like really at all. But I mean, I can imagine Deadpool gets into some hot stuff and pulls him in to rescue him. But I don't know anything about Deadpool too because I don't pay attention to him with the whole fourth wall breaks and all that stuff. So I mean, can he just like want somebody to appear and they generate? I don't know.
No, yeah, it wouldn't work
He,
like that. Yeah, it's just
yeah,
more
super.
so that he knows that we're here. He doesn't
Yeah.
control his environment like She-Hulk does.
Okay.
But
Yeah. I don't. Do you have an idea how they might pull him
well, I
in
mean,
from?
there'd have to be a story where all of a sudden Wolverine needs to intervene. So I think it's going to be where he's attacking the X-Men because Deadpool's definitely been on both sides of that.
Mm, yeah.
Um, so I think Deadpool's going to attack the X-Men, and I think he's going to succeed and kill all the X-Men.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's going to be what happens. And then Wolverine's going to be like the last survivor, and it'll happen. Something will happen where they fall into the MCU somehow. But I think it's going to be Deadpool versus the X-Men.
You think he would succeed in killing a whole bunch of kids?
Yeah, I think he might go full Anakin. Yeah, he
Ah,
might he might he
Jesus,
might Order 66 this.
that's
They
terrible.
would parody it too, actually.
I mean, I could see like I say I can see. I know Deadpool is edgier than any other hero, but if you were in line with Wolverine's, moral codes and whatnot, I could see them like having a super awesome major battle, and both of them almost dying or whatever, and eventually calling it a truce, and then he decides to like bring him into the fold or whatever, and he meets the other heroes and stuff. But I don't know, for MCU level, maybe they're trying to push the envelope and be a little more edgy, but to let him go ahead and kill, and maybe they'll justify it as a different timeline or a different world, and
Yeah,
then they obviously, correct it, and we meet the X-Men that we are used to. But yeah, that'd be pretty gruesome if if we see Deadpool kills all the X-Men or all the at least the kids at his school.
it would be tricky to see with like Colossus, right? Colossus and him are friends, and there are other X-Men he's friends
Yeah.
with, and we've seen that all the X-Men are technically there with Deadpool. There's been an episode or a scene where he opens the door and we have Professor
Ah,
X and all them there.
yeah.
But I think it would be funny to like watch him like just like all of a sudden we just see him right off the bat, like first shot, he decapitates
Mhm.
Cyclops.
Yeah.
And then just goes ham.
Right.
And it could be that all of a sudden we realize it's a different multiverse, but
Yeah.
it's the multiverse that the Fox ones are in. But I think he just kills everybody that touches Fox. He could actually
Mm.
go after Fantastic Four as well
Oh,
while he's out there.
Jesus. You're so right. That would clean up a lot of loose ends. You're talking about killing off Fox, and then we can recast literally everyone.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, sorry, that was the other ones. Yeah, we had a little bit of a mess with what's his name, Deadpool over there. But don't worry, we're in this other universe where everybody's happy and beautiful. They're just slightly different character or different actors playing the same characters.
If you really want to be
Ah,
fucked up, you make it to where Wolverine loses it and he's killing everybody. And Deadpool has to stop him. That way you still have a hero at the end of the day. Because
ooh,
right,
but
if this happens, Deadpool's a villain fully. You can't like save him after that. But if it's
yeah,
Wolverine that loses it, or maybe they just have a giant war, or something like that. There's been so many end of the world wars that X-Men have already
yeah.
fought. But I think it'd be funny
But
to have Deadpool do it.
but would you save Wolverine and bring him back to the universe where people are still alive?
I think the fans almost gonna demand that. It's
Yeah.
gonna be
And
really tough to not do that.
And you could play it off that the Wolverine in that new universe, ended up dying somehow or disappeared or whatever. But yeah, that'd be interesting. That'd be pretty cool.
We had Professor X show up in Doctor Strange, and it was, it was Picard. It was God, what's his? Oh, Patrick Stewart. There you go. I'm like, it's
Yeah.
Jean-Luc Picard. I'm like, no, friend.
His
It's
other
Patrick
names.
Stewart. Yeah, and so
Yeah.
we know it's him, but
Yeah.
that's not even the same X-Men that we're familiar with.
And I love Patrick Stewart, but he cannot act for too many more years. I mean, he's obviously frail.
I would love for him to be immortal, but yeah, we're at the end of that.
Yeah, I mean, I want him to keep acting for as long as he feels happy and healthy to do so. But I don't imagine him doing it for more than like 2 or 3 more years, honestly.
Yeah.
So that being said, if we're going X-Men, he is a major anchor in X-Men. All the X-Men movies that of our generation. I don't know if there was any before that, but he is Professor X. Could you imagine another actor that could handle that role of the Professor X that he played?
So we had James McAvoy play it, and by the way, it's James McAvoy's version, the first class X-Men that's in that Deadpool scene.
Oh,
so
okay.
it's those ones. But so James McAvoy, I think, did a good job with it. I wouldn't mind him doing it again, to be honest with you.
But what about if they age him up? Will he play the old version as well?
Yeah, I do want. Oh, here it is, Jonathan. Oh, here it is. Somebody pitched this idea, and I want it. Here we go. Giancarlo Esposito.
Oh shit! I heard that. I did hear that. Oh man, that would be good. That
it's
voice,
so good.
His voice demands your attention.
Yes,
it is intimidating. That'd be so good.
After we get done with these next couple Avenger films, I'm ready for X-Men to be huge again. I just loved X-Men in the 90s so much.
I kind of hope Marvel or Disney will kind of change gears, like slow down on all this exciting superhero mass production stuff and dial it into, let's get into X-Men. Like, slow down. It doesn't need to be fast. You don't need to be popping out a movie every year or every 6 months with a different, a Hawkeye or something on the title. But let's just do a cool collab of these young no-name heroes.
Recognizable heroes. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. I mean, Miss Marvel, she's great and all, but there's a lot of people who didn't know who she was. And She-Hulk, I mean, actually She-Hulk's pretty iconic, but Hawkeye, he's always been kind of the laughing stock forever, right? But if you actually have like a series, it's all about the romance between Jean Grey and Cyclops, and then like that would be, I'm in. Get me in on that. Yeah. You can do whatever you want. And I just want, like, hey, look, guys, here's the truth of it. I'm glad you guys are trying out new stuff. I want 90s X-Men back. I just want that back. Why don't I have that anymore?
Yeah.
And so we could do, I got to watch the cartoon again. I've been kind of itching to watch that old 90s cartoon, yeah. And so, Giancarlo Esposito can carry a franchise.
Yeah. And Disney could be re-releasing, like, making new episodes of the original X-Men. They have the money. They're doing that with something, right? I can't remember what show
They're making new episodes of the original X-Men. Yeah, they are. It's not out yet. Yeah, it's not out yet though. So I want to watch them and then get into that.
Anything that we as the people, like the masses, really like, they have the money. They will satisfy our hunger if we're willing to pay for it. So we just got to be vocal enough about what we really want to see. They'll make it happen.
I want to see that. I want to see Bub. I want to see like classic,
Right.
There's so many good stories with X-Men too. We should go into that. But we did back in the day when we used to do comic book club. We've been podcasting for a long time. There's a lot of stuff we did back in the day.
Back in the days.
We used to do podcast club where we'd go over a different comic book club. And one of them was we've done Days of Future Past, the comic book storyline. And it's so freaking good. And so I would like to see that again, but done with Marvel's budget and really see what they could do with that. There's so many good X-Men stories,
Yeah.
So.
It's funny you mentioned that because on the Disney Mom's Gone Wrong podcast, when we did a top 5 episode together this past time, and they mentioned how, so long ago back in the day, we did top 5s all the time when the Geek Freaks Network was actually just a top 5 podcast. Yeah. And, each of them had been on a different top 5, like the Disney princesses and I don't know,
Disney sidekicks.
Yeah. And it was so funny to kind of reminisce about back in the day, how things used to be different, but that was pretty cool.
We're likely, by the way, on that note, I'm still workshopping it. I want to hear your guys' opinion. We've asked the patrons and they basically said no. I am pushing yes, so I want to hear from more fans. I would like to sunset our first like 50 episodes. Make them
Yeah.
to where they're only available on YouTube. Um, the reason I say that is because my God, that mic was
The
awful.
audio quality. Yeah.
It hurts my soul how bad it is.
Yeah.
And I've tried to fix it as much as I can. I even now, like the first 10 episodes, have me introducing the episode, like, "Hey guys, this sucks." No, but I kind of explained, like, "Hey, I try to fix this up a little bit," and I kind of explained, like, "Go
I,
to
I,
episode 100 or whatever if you want to hear what we actually do."
I like your terminology, sunset. That's very official.
Yeah,
That's very, I don't know, HR or
yeah. We're gonna sunset your position here at the company.
yeah, you're fired. Get out of here.
So let me know what you guys think. Do you guys frequently go back to the first 50 episodes and listen to those? I think they're unbearable almost. Just
Yeah.
because I know what we can do now. And at the time I was like, oh, this is so cool. And now I'm like, oh my God. And they would still be available on our YouTube channel, but they wouldn't be because the hard part is new people find our podcast, and I'm always telling them, listen to the new stuff. And if they
Yeah.
go back to episode 1, which there are some people that do, I don't do that. Some people do that.
I do that if I'm gonna watch something, especially when I'm watching TV. But if I'm gonna listen to podcasts, a lot of times too, I'll start at number 1, and I know it's bad for podcasts. It might be great for a TV show or movie or movie series, but I'll watch it from the beginning because I want to catch everything. I want to be a
Yeah.
completist and all that. And then the beginning of every podcast is rough. It takes a while for people to kind of
First 20.
get into their rhythm and everything. So I definitely agree.
So
It's not great.
we may be sunsetting them. And then what I was thinking too, just as I am itching, that's why we're doing these top fives. We're going to be doing them today. I'm itching to do some top fives again.
Yeah.
Classic Tiana rule. I mean, let's do it the hardcore way.
They're
And so
fun.
I say we could start redoing those early episodes
Yeah.
and actually
and
make like, boom, top 5 is back, basically.
I don't remember how we landed on the rules of top 5, but this last one, the Disney Moms, we started with our number ones to fight for who you really want at the
That's
top,
how
and
we
then worked
always
our way
done it.
down.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, because at some point we did it backwards, and it's like that's great for suspense to reach to a number one, but
Yeah.
really top down is to build a better list, and it was fun. I like
The
how
reason
we
going
did
the
it.
opposite direction is best, and I'm sure you guys, you realized it when you're doing it with them as well, is when you're podcasting and all of a sudden you realize like, oh, mine didn't get to number 1. And so like,
Yeah.
okay, it's gonna be your number 2 then. But you gotta, and we had a limit of 2, the Tiana rule,
Yeah,
where you
yeah,
could only put it up twice. So sometimes you were like, okay, I will make sure this gets to the list. So I'll let it drop
Yeah.
to 5. But then like let Halo beat out some indie game
yeah,
because I have to do it.
yeah.
And I was just talking to somebody about this, how passionate Daniel was when we were doing Disney princesses, and he wanted that
Yes.
princess from Atlantis. I couldn't even tell you her name,
Yeah.
but he was
Oh,
like,
jeez.
"Guys, I won't be your friend anymore."
Like, I'm gonna walk out right now.
He was so passionate in that conversation. I
But
was doing
that passion alone is evidence that it was a good character. So
and it was a great top 5 because of that passion.
yeah. So
Tiana.
I forgot about the Atlantis princess.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And he's like, guys, she's the best. She's the most powerful. It's like, that's not what this list is. So,
Yeah.
so just kind of a soft announcement on that too. We're going to be doing more top 5s. Obviously, this month we have 3 of them in a row, but we're going to generally be doing more top 5s. They're always just great episodes to be putting in.
We might have a top 5 trophy coming soon too. Whoever
Oh.
wins in the top 5 will get the ticket home.
Oh,
Just a heads up.
Jonathan, you sneaky bastard. I want to
Called
do them
the
in person again too. That's the other thing.
I don't know if you listened to the last recording, but it'll be called the Petty D Trophy
Petty. Oh, I mean, whether
Or
I
the-
know
or
who
the
mentioned it, who brought it
or
up.
the Petty D Award. I don't know.
Petty D.
One or the other.
Oh God, there's so many.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I love Diana.
You can decide what that means.
Yeah, yeah. All right, let's go ahead and talk about. We're gonna be going into Spawn. Spawn's adding 3 writers for their upcoming movie. McFarlane announced this. We have Scott Silver, who did the Joker movie. He wrote for that. Malcolm Spellman, who did Falcon and the Winter Soldier and the new Captain America movie. And then Matthew Mixon, who did Yesterday Was Everything. I've never heard of that. All 3 have signed on to work on this reboot. You want to say something? I can feel it in you.
These are all wait. They're
Yeah.
still figuring out writers for this movie.
Exactly.
Oh my god! I'm like, okay, where's the trailer? I'm so ready. I will
So
pre-order my
much.
ticket. I want to see it in theaters like next month, and they're still fucking writing the story. Come on, guys! Oh my god!
So I'm on the cruise, right? So I don't have internet on the cruise. It's the best part of the cruise. I come back and I see like a message on one day. Squeaks is like, Todd McFarlane says he's got an announcement tomorrow. Oh shit! And then ghosted afterwards. So I'm assuming he just cried in bed for a week.
I imagine, yes.
We were waiting for a trailer. We thought, yeah, here's the trailer. You know,
dude.
oh, to not even have writers for it. This thing's gonna be 5 years still.
That's so terrible. Like, somebody else has to take the reins. Like, I'll give you 2 years. I want this out and released. Even 2 years is too long. Come on, 1 year. You can have this out by Christmas or by Halloween
Make it a smaller
of next
movie
year.
too. It doesn't need to be big. It doesn't need to be blockbuster. That's not what Spawn's about.
I mean, break it up into a miniseries. Miniseries are actually super hot and I'm sure very lucrative. So what are you holding on to? Let's do it.
That reminds me, I want to talk about real quick. We'll talk about it in a sec, actually. Yeah, so I cannot believe that they're finally now getting the writers for this. Spawn is such a badass story, and what they're doing in the comic books for Spawn, the best it's ever been. Now they have multiple Spawns.
Gunslinger Spawn right now, right?
Gunslinger's one of them. There's like King Spawn. There's a few things going on here.
Yeah,
and it's just it's so dope.
Do you think if the Blade is coming out with a movie, not a series, right?
Movie, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that will change how Spawn goes? I feel like those are very much in the same like world, the same realm. So if
visually
Blade does really good,
obviously Spawn is Image
DC
Comics.
Marvel,
it's Image, but yeah, and
yeah,
and Blade is Marvel. But yeah, visually and everything like that. I mean, back in the '90s when these two came out, they very much felt the same, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, consumer wise, they look, they're going to be compared to each other.
I don't know if they'll affect each other at all. What kind of effect do you think is going to happen?
So I was thinking if Blade doesn't do good in a movie, then maybe Spawn will decide to make a series instead of a movie, or vice versa. If it does really good in a movie, then they'll double down. Like, okay, this is going to be hot. People want to see 2.5 hours of this on screen. But to me, they kind of fit the same demographic, at least of people who are going to consume it.
Yeah. And the original idea, who knows what these writers will write, is the fact that it's going to be actually from the lens of two cops that are out on the beat and they're dealing with a Spawn going around.
Yeah.
That I think sounds like a really cool series.
Yeah,
following these two cops all the time.
It would fit perfect for a series, man.
And HBO's already had dealings with them before. HBO, of course, doing DC now, but HBO's already had a Spawn series, an animated one, so it wouldn't be hard for them to just go for it. And I think that they would be really embracing. HBO needs a win right now.
Yeah.
Other than Avenue 5, we're both enjoying right now.
Oh, Avenue 5. I just barely dug into that, and it is so good. House of Dragons, I'm really loving right now too.
Yeah, it's just outstanding.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm hoping they're not struggling. HBO should be doing pretty good with that alone. But yeah, Avenue 5 has been out for a while now, and season 2 just barely started.
Yeah.
I'm like almost done with season 1, I think. Or I probably just finished it, but
yeah, you got like one more episode.
Yeah, it's hilarious. If you guys haven't seen it yet, imagine the comedy and writing of Veep, which is very funny. A little kind of slow. You have to pay attention. Sometimes dry or whatever. But the setting of first off being in space, but second being on the cruise ship of Wall-E, minus the obesity. But when they first left, everyone's the Axiom. Everyone's happy and excited to be on a cruise in space and all that stuff. But just shit hits the fan constantly. Imagine the challenges of keeping people alive in space and then happy at a buffet in space. Like there's so much shit going on. It's hilarious.
And Josh Gad plays like basically the head of BNL. He plays Judd, and it's like Elon Musk in space and so clueless and just one of the best one-liners. I mean, some of the best one-liners.
Elon Musk's 12-year-old son inherited his business after he died. Like he has no sense and doesn't know anything, doesn't care, he's just trying to be dumb and in power. But
I'll just give you a little bit of a spoiler for season 2. He's trying to pretend like he doesn't know about the journey's length. Oh wait, that's a spoiler a little bit for the end of season 1. But anyways, he doesn't know about the journey's length, and so he's like at dinner with people, and he's like, "This captain, I don't know, guys. My name happens to be Judd. I'm not like owning the ship." Or like he keeps doing that, and it's just so funny. Josh Gad is a wonderful actor, but yeah.
Yes.
So when I was saying HBO is hurting, I mean that the Warner Brothers behind it, they're letting go to the projects. It was announced this week that they're shuttering the Cartoon Network studio, and so which Samurai Jack, Dexter's Lab, so many freaking gems.
Will some of these be able to be picked up by the networks, you think?
Well, they're still so they're keeping the Cartoon Network brand, and they're still gonna have all
Yeah.
those shows. So like they'll actually own all them still. They'll be available on HBO.
I
But you
I
hate to see
want
these people
Disney
lose
to
their
buy
jobs.
Samurai Jack. Yeah,
Yes, and
we don't
add
want
them
to.
to the MCU. What the hell?
Right? No, I mean, like, yeah, buy Samurai Jack and just continue from, I don't know, season 4 or 5, whatever they made.
Yeah.
Start making more episodes. They have the money. They have the creativity. They have an amazing team. Disney's making so much good stuff right now. Like, let's make more Samurai Jack. I love it. Make a
Yeah.
Samurai Jack universe, and you can interlink other characters if you want to.
I mean, James Baldwin. I think his name is James Baldwin, the one that does Uncle Iroh's voice after the passing,
Oh,
right?
yep,
He
yep.
does Samurai Jack's. He does the same thing.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
that guy on Twitter is amazing, by the way. Follow him. But yeah, I mean, you have
And
all the actors like ready to go.
Avatar Studios are under Disney, right?
No, they're not. They actually started their own studios, and actually, they just adopted another studio that's going to be working on an Avatar movie where all the Avatar kids are adults and doing
Oh
adult
my
adventures.
god.
There's a lot of. I've been gone for 2 weeks. There's a lot of
I
things.
need to move to LA, Frank. I gotta be I gotta be
Well,
on set
then I'm
for this
sleeping on
stuff.
your couch when I go to Disneyland. So yeah, that's a great idea.
I need to be on set. Like, I gotta be catching this news fresh with the director's mouth, so I can be releasing this kind of
Watching
shit.
the animators draw Disney cell or Avatar cells, you know.
Can I take a picture of that?
Yeah.
Like, no, get away.
Yeah, Avatar Studios is in full force with 3 movies that are in development and stuff like that. It's just going to be all amazing.
Take
And then
my
we
money.
have, by the way, I'm just going to throw more amazing at you because, of course, they just released three panels from the Gargoyles comics. They look freaking amazing. They look like it's
Oh,
the series
man.
continuing.
That'd be great.
And it's all about the 3 panels are all about I think it's Maria or Mora, her and Goliath like is still in love and like kissing and stuff like that. Like, oh, that's cool. I'm
really?
so happy the relationship's still working out. That's awesome.
Jeez.
Okay. Let's get back to yeah, Spawn movie, that sucks. Speaking, by the way, Gangs of New York. I personally love Gangs of New York. I've watched it a good
Fantastic movie.
15 times. Jonathan,
Yeah.
people do not agree with us.
What?
They think it's horrible. They think it's Martin
Is it-
Scorsese's worst movie.
Is it New Yorkers that maybe know more of the local history than us or
Screw them.
something?
No, this is from the 1800s. It doesn't matter what they think.
Right? It's a beautiful movie.
I love it.
maybe I'm dumb and uneducated. I don't know, but
Well, I mean, if I'm with you on that, maybe I'm just a simpleton that just thinks
I mean-
everybody's cool. But Bill the Butcher is one of the best damn characters ever written.
right? It's got great cast. I mean,
Oh,
phenomenal
amazing.
story. What's it missing?
Cool
I don't get it.
world-building. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with you, Jonathan. Most people don't agree with us. But you know who still has faith in that project? Martin Scorsese, the guy who made it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know what he's gonna do? He's making a new series for it.
Oh my fucking oh, that's gonna be so good.
Susan's gonna come home and you're gonna be like in bed, like, I'm tired, honey. Avatar
Yeah.
and Gangs of New York.
Oh man, that's gonna be great.
Yes. And it's one of those things where when you watch the movie,
shit.
you're like, you know what? This was meant to be a series. But at
That
the
would
time,
be-
we didn't do big series like that.
I imagine it would have the same feel as Peaky Blinders, right? I
Yeah.
mean, time
Now
frame
I'm
set.
gonna lose it, Jonathan.
Right? Oh my god, that's gonna be so good.
It's
Wait,
gonna
so-
be amazing, man.
Where's this gonna be at? How am I gonna see it?
I think it's gonna be probably HBO. It feels like an HBO budget.
Oh, okay. Oh man, as long as I have the streaming service, which I do.
Honestly, I can already tell you because I'm a huge fan of Gangs of New York. I've seen it. I couldn't tell you how many times.
Yeah,
I don't give a shit what streaming service has this. If I'm not paying for it, I will be.
That's true. I'll always get it for that. Man, I mean, I think I have access to all of them by now too. Even
Yeah.
Apple TV, even though I've never watched it, I have it somewhere.
Oh, you should watch Severance on Apple, by the way.
Severance?
Severance, Apple TV. It's like 8 episodes, and it is
Okay.
fantastic. It
Oh.
is amazing acting.
Jeez.
We got to talk about it afterwards, John.
So many shows to
We're
watch.
geeking out too hard on this one, man.
Gangs of New York in a series, though, that is freaking exciting.
It's
So,
so perfect.
all the actors from the original movie are, 10, 15 years older now. Are any of them coming
I
back?
have a feeling they'll just recast it all. I think they'll
Okay.
probably have to recast it all. Yeah.
Yeah, completely restart.
One of my God, that guy that like runs for sheriff. That actor's right now doing a lot of interviews because he's got a new movie coming out. But you remember the Irish guy that runs for sheriff that has the stick that he notches people that he keeps killing, doom on it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that dude in series form.
Yeah.
That's gonna be such a big episode when he finally gets
Man.
killed and stuff. Like, oh shit.
So,
John C. Riley plays the like corrupt cop. I mean, it's just
that's
such a good
right.
movie.
Oh shit.
And he puts his watch on the pole.
Yeah. We
Oh
have to
man.
make a list of
You know,
good
let's do a
actors
sloop
we want
about
to
this.
see.
Let's do a sloop on Gangs of New York if you're down
That's
for
a good
that.
idea.
Okay.
So before we do this loop, try to think of actors you want to see in this new series. I'm gonna try to make
Yes.
myself a list because I'm stoked about this. This is gonna be such a
Yes.
good show.
Oh man. Okay, I'm writing it down. Sloop Gangs. By the way, guys, all these She-Hulk sloops, they have been going.
But deleted.
I'm sorry, not the She-Hulk's one. All the House of Dragons, they've been deleted. All the House of Dragons sloops are gonna go to our Patreon once the final episode comes up next week. And I'm joined for the 3 episode catcher up that's actually just aired yesterday. So you guys listening to this now just aired yesterday. That's with Thomas of the Joystick Show. Go check out Joystick. Great show, great guys. I love them. So yeah, Gangs of New York. I'm writing that down. All right.
Nice.
We're gonna go over, let's go ahead and jump into our headlines. We're gonna speed through some of the latest news, which we've been doing. All right, first up in headlines, Moriarty and Lore joins Picard season 3. Remember, Picard season 3 also has the rest of the next gen cast, pretty much. DC launches a new Ultra tier and adds 5,000 new comics from their side labels. That's DC Black, Vertigo, stuff like that, and gives you comics only 1 month after physical. That's a whole new low. James Earl Jones retires as Darth Vader. They are using AI to voice him now, and they already have used it in Obi-Wan Kenobi, so you guys didn't even notice it before, and they've already been using it. And lastly, Black Adam and Gotham Knights are both releasing this week. So we're going to review Black Adam, and we're going to try to review Gotham Knights, but right now I'm playing a lot of WoW. Any of these you want to make sure to visit?
All of the above. They all sound amazing, but I mean, nothing specific we have to really tear into. But
Yeah.
So the comic subscription you're talking about too, I still, I don't know. It's just me being an old man. I want to read the paper comics. I want to collect and have full, complete collections of paper comics. I need to figure out how to do that without walking into the comic book store every week.
Yeah, we got to set you up. One of these weeks, you got to let me know that you got a Wednesday off. We're going to go and set you up with like a mail order Wednesday pull list kind of thing.
Yeah, because it's overwhelming. There's thousands of comics to choose from, and I want to read all of a series, beginning to end. Even an older one, that's fine. But if you're trying to find something that's already finished, you have to kind of dig through old comics, or maybe you can find some of them online. But I don't know. I feel too
it's overwhelming.
Detached from
totally overwhelming. I would like for us to do more comic book content. That's why we're trying to make sure we try to showcase indie comics because they're a lot easier to jump in on. The passion is there. Generally indie comics are just like totally on par with Marvel and DC, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say, Jonathan, just pick one. I would suggest Thor. I've suggested a few times, and just start from issue 1 and go.
I know it sounds dumb too, because everybody's all. I mean, I love superhero movies. I for some reason don't love superhero comics.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just not. I don't know my thing. I loved Saga. I think that was one that you suggested too. So I like that kind of drama.
I think even before that, maybe, or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. We'll find something good.
Yeah, let me know. One of these days you got a Wednesday off. We'll head over there. I know it's hard for you to have a Wednesday off, but I'm just saying.
Never have Wednesdays.
We'll set you up a pull list because that's when the new comics come out. Is on every Wednesday. We can actually go on the weekend. Now I'm thinking about it. We can go on the weekend. We'll just set you up with a Wednesday pull list. Whatever.
All right. Sounds good.
That'll be good. Moriarty and Lore joining Picard season 3. This Picard season 3 might be amazing.
I'm so excited. I mean, I love Picard. So we briefly touched on, maybe we could hint at now that Trek freaks might be changing a little bit in the future. I would love that. I love all the new Star Trek that's going on, but especially Picard. It's such a good series. So I want to be able to talk about it, but we don't really have a good outlet to talk about it very much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't wait for the new season. I love that they're bringing back all the next gen cast pretty much. I don't know who's not coming back actually.
Yeah, I think it's just Wesley, and I mean, there's definitely people not coming back, but
and he's somewhere. He's on, I think, Discovery, right?
He's on somewhere. Everything outside of Trek. So he has his own show. You guys got to check it out. The Ready Room, where he talks about, he does Trek freaks, but he does it after the new episodes. When like Strange New Worlds, a new episode comes out, you watch Ready Room right afterwards on Paramount Plus, and it's him talking to the cast. It's Talking Dead.
Yeah, I think he was on one of them too as like a super entity because he became a god creature after that time, that space travel thing he did. Anyways, but yeah, I'm excited for it. I can't wait.
To clarify on the Trek freaks hint, this is something that's distant and stuff like that, but generally the general idea is that we're going to start bringing in some more of the modern stuff, mixing it in. I just want to throw that out there so that it's kind of clarified. Not that it's like a drastic change in any way.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go into our top 5 80s horror films, and then after that, we're going to be doing our 2 indie spotlights for the week. But John, let's go ahead and get into our top 5 horror films. All right, so what we're doing here, this is our top 5. This is the Geek Freaks official top 5 80s and below horror films, because some of these movies are a little bit older. We're going to go from 5 to 1 on this list. And I'm going to preface that for everybody listening, there's going to be so many things that are not on this list. 80s is some of the most classic. So I'm gonna shoot at a couple that are not on the this list, just because I know people are gonna be mad at this. Jonathan, have you seen Alien or Aliens?
Yeah. Well, I think I've seen the original Alien. I
Yeah.
mean, many moons ago, but yeah.
Aliens, the sequel, is even better. It's really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Not on the list. Evil Dead 1 and 2 are not on our list.
Yeah, and that I know I've heard of that. I've never seen Evil Dead, but I've heard people reference it many a times. I know it's super popular.
Oh, it's got a huge cult following on that one.
Mhm.
The Thing,
Yeah.
not on our list.
Oh my goodness.
I know, right? And that's like one of the most iconic body horrors ever.
This
Not
must
on our
be a
list.
pretty hot list if the thing didn't
Well,
make
you know what? I'm just gonna throw it out there. People are not gonna be happy. So I want to get some of these names out there now. All right, let's go with number 5 on our list: A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh man, that's a classic.
It's a classic. Freddy Krueger, he brought humor into horror
Yeah.
in a really like fun, scary, spooky way. I think it's just really well done. It's a thing where like he dies in a fire. So normally you're like, oh, I'm sympathetic, but like, oh yeah, but he's also an asshole to kids and I think a pedophile.
Yeah.
So no, you know.
Don't feel that bad.
And the fact that
it's a major psychological thriller, right? Because
yes,
this can all apply to everybody. It's not somebody being followed in the woods and stabbed with a knife, but the battle is being waged in your own brain, right? In your own nightmares.
Dreams. Yeah.
So it's like it's a kind of a wicked twist. I'm sure it might have been done before in horror movies, but I mean, this was the first one that really, made a name for itself in that way, I think.
Yeah, and I always like that. It's kind of with the thing as well, where you don't know who to trust. It adds that extra psychological thriller to it as well. Plus, you just straight up have him with those knife hands. Like those knife hands.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I had gloves with the knife hands on it. Everybody had them.
Classic. That's just so inefficient, though. If you're a murderer, you want to be able to set down your weapon when you're not using it.
Well, and I think if I remember correctly, he was using them for like hedging, and I'm like, how would you use this for hedging?
Yeah, and honestly, though, I mean, I don't remember the details in the movie, but were those things that he wore in the real world, or was that part of his nightmare? Like that was a scary
No,
costume.
I think he died with them on his hand. That was part of the real world. I'm pretty sure he had that cool sweater. Oh yeah,
that's crazy. He's Edward Scissorhands in the real world.
Yeah, but he's even more emo than Edward Scissorhands. Yeah. He's like real punk.
Yeah, he has half scissors.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
It was a classic movie. I mean, it's just one of my all-time favorites. It's really good. Next up, my number 4. This is gonna throw you guys off. Little Shop of Horrors, and this scared the hell out of me. Did you watch any of this?
I think I seen it as a kid. I don't remember. I remember seeing like the big Venus flytrap and stuff.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
So it has some pretty crazy scenes. Somewhere there's a dentist scene that's of course famous with Steve Martin and Bill Murray, where Steve Martin like gets off on punishing people through dentistry, and Bill Murray does, and it's so creepy and weird, and it's just like an offhanded thing. The Feed Me Fillmore, or whatever, Seymour, that's it, was such a good iconic line, and just the tone of this movie. There's music and stuff like that in there, but the tone of this movie is so dark and foreboding that like the ever-present plant scares the hell out of you when you're watching it. As a kid, I will say, because I watched it as a kid. I was born in '85, so I was pretty young when I was watching these guys. And our parents, Jonathan, our mom was on board with us watching horror films.
That's so funny. I didn't realize other people weren't. I love horror movies, and my wife is like, "Oh my god, how can you watch this? This is so scary." Like a trailer will give her nightmares, and like, wasn't that part of your childhood? Like, didn't you watch horror movies like as a family? Wasn't that a family friendly thing? And no, apparently not. I guess that's not very common.
It was definitely with us, and I remember very well when we watched movies together, horror movies as kids. A huge part of it was trying to figure out the best time to scare one of each other.
That's right. That's funny. I forgot
Best
about that.
target, our dad, who did not care for horror movies and still to this day doesn't care for horror movies, but we would try to scare him as much as we can. And and just try to mess with somebody.
Out. Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Little Shop of Horrors is number 4. Number 3, The Shining.
Yep. That's such a good movie.
Can you talk to it a little bit? What do you think about it?
I mean, it's a classic. It's been parodied in everything. I know. I mean, at the time, it was like groundbreaking.
Yeah.
It's just. I mean, it's been parodied and everything. You see the scenes of it replayed over and over again. Yeah, it's just such a good.
Jack
I mean,
Nicholson's descent into madness. I love the best. Like what just perfect acting. He just
yeah,
slips and slips and slips more and more. And then like when he's with the bartender and stuff like that, it's just like, oh dude, you're
and I,
losing it.
I hear it referenced a lot in directing and filmmaking
Yeah.
sense that there's so much that they started trying in that movie that had never been done before.
A couple things to reference. First off, he would have them do it's Kubrick or whatever that did that movie. He'd have them do like 200 takes just
Yeah,
to break them. He was trying to screw up the actors. So he on
yeah,
the 200 take, you're sitting there delirious and like, makes for a dull boy, blah 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 blah. You're actually in the state where the character would be at this point.
yeah. You're
That's the
going
take he want.
insane. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the take he want. He had somebody actually write up those pages and stuff like that. Oh my god, I can't remember her name. That's so I feel so bad. She actually quit
the
acting for a while
actress.
afterwards. But the actress in it, the mom, he purposely wouldn't tell her that Jack Nicholson was going to be like behind the door with an axe or something like that, just to get the actual fear out of her. And so,
Nice.
like, it drove her away from acting for a while. So that means it wasn't good. I'm saying it's not good that
Yeah,
he did that.
unhealthy.
It's
Yeah.
unhealthy that he did that. But the movie is fantastic because of it.
Right. At least though she had to suffer, at least we can enjoy the fact that her reaction was very authentic and it was captured
Yeah.
at the time.
And the hotel too. What a character the hotel played itself, right? The carpet's
Mhm.
iconic. Just
Yeah.
again that bar scene with the ghost bartender and stuff like that.
God, you
So
remember
amazing.
so many details of a movie that I haven't seen in like 10 years.
I
Oh
drink and I
man.
know things. That's what I do.
I love it.
Um, number two, the reason that it's 80s and below for sure is Night of the Living Dead. We actually did a sloop about this, so you guys can listen to the sloop. I think it's behind the paywall, but it's worth
Mhm.
checking out.
What now, Night of the Living Dead, that was the first zombie movie, right?
Yep,
The
first big zombie movie. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. That's
It set up every trope. And I
yeah.
love watching this movie because first off, the story, everything about this movie still holds up. The zombies still look scary. They're not, they look, scary for the day, especially.
Yeah.
The story is still very good about a group of people who are all strangers get stuck in a house and zombies are all around them. But it sets up all the tropes. It sets up all the rules for zombies, shooting them in the head, fire, the fact they eat people. All these things are made up in this. It has a black protagonist that is straight up just a hero, and it doesn't
Mhm.
have to do with anything else except for he happens to be black in the movie. Like in the 50s or whatever when this thing came out, that's unheard of.
Yeah.
Such a freaking good movie. So please
I
check
think
that
I
out,
have
guys.
that on I think I have that on DVD too.
I'm
It
not
was
gonna
like
spoil
a
the ending now that I'm thinking about it. The ending is like so well written it would be written today,
yeah.
and you kind of see it coming because they didn't like you're doing you're doing Star Trek right now. You know how it is. Like sometimes they foretell the ending a little too easy,
Yeah.
but it's so well written that you're like, shit, that's exactly how it would go down. It's so perfect. All right, and then before we get to our number one, let's talk about a couple that are not on the list. We have Christine, that's not on the
Mhm.
list.
See, that's another one. I've never seen it, but I've seen it parodied so many times, especially we briefly mentioned earlier too, Futurama. They do
Yeah,
a full episode about this movie where, Christine as a car comes to life and is killing people. But it's just such a good concept, like such an interesting concept, and makes it for kind of a hilarious or fun or thrilling horror movie. I love it. It's great.
well, the key with Christine too is it's about a nerdy kid who's being picked on and finds solace
Mhm.
in his car, who happens to just be a badass car that's haunted. And so it's also the side story to this thing that's really cool is this nerdy kid who's now taking out revenge on all the jocks and how he's like
Mhm.
lost it. And it's like it kind of reminds me of Carrie. Like Carrie's got a whole other subplot too, but the idea of like you guys push them beyond, so it's almost your fault you created this monster. And so it's a little bit of a warning tale on that.
That's a
It's really
dangerous message.
it's a dangerous message, but it's kind of like be careful how far you push people. You might
Yeah.
break them, you
Yeah.
know?
That's true.
And especially in the 80s when we didn't have Christine is kind of light
Repercussions.
compared to what people actually do nowadays.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't send their killer cars.
Yeah.
Two classics that are not on our list that are now modern projects and being remade. Child's Play, and Hellraiser. Hellraiser is a brand new one
Ah,
on Hulu right now.
Child's Play would have been on my list. You're saying they're remaking that right now?
There's a series, season 2 is coming out right now.
Wait, so
It,
there's a season 1 of a new Child's Play series that's out?
yep, yep, and it's legit. It's good.
What? Where's it at? How have you seen it?
AMC, I think it is. I think it's AMC. I don't remember, but I'll have to check.
Oh, I don't think I have AMC.
Yeah, then if it's on AMC, generally it'll eventually get to Hulu. AMC's doing this thing now where they're starting their own streaming service, and they're like, "Hey, we have Walking Dead," and that's like the whole thing.
It's the Walking Dead streaming service.
Yeah, it's like we also have Breaking Bad, but that's also a Netflix, so shoot.
Yeah. Oh man.
But, yeah.
Okay. I'll have to watch that when it comes to Hulu at least.
Child's Play is good. You know what I forgot too? Children of the Corn, also very good.
Oh God. So we briefly talked about. I'm like, at some point we definitely got to do top five Stephen King movies.
Mhm.
There's, I mean, probably 50 or
I
so.
don't know if Children of the Corn are his, but yeah.
Yeah. Children of the Corn is Stephen King.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's what made me just think of it now because it was I'd seen, like, I was going through lists of top of horror movies and saw that and I was like, oh man, that was such a good movie. To me, I mean, there's so many good Stephen King movies, especially horror movies, but they could be redone right now. That would be such a great movie to do a remake of. I would love to see that right now.
I'll see that, and I'll raise you a Langoliers.
Oh shit!
Nowadays, with the technology, the CGI that we have, Langoliers would be way better.
The CGI was terrible back then.
Oh yeah, well, because it's made for TV.
Yeah.
So it was like extra bad. But that like when they're in an empty airport, like just that creepiness, that's in the 90s. Yeah. Our next top 5 is horror films from the 90s, and that might be in there.
And it's like the world is pretty much being eaten around them, so they have to find a way to get away, and they just like barely escape in time. It's like, shit, where are we gonna land? There's no more Earth because it's been eaten by these monsters. It's crazy. And
there's that blind girl who can kind of like hear them better than anybody else. So she's warning them like there's something coming. Yeah. And what it is it's every yesterday gets consumed by these Langoliers that keeps like every day they consume the world every time.
Yeah.
And these guys accidentally slipped into yesterday. That's freaking cool. Stephen King, man. I actually just got his audiobook, The Stand, which is 44 hours.
Jesus.
Yeah. And I also got his brand new book called Fairy Tale. And what's interesting is he wrote it in the pandemic. He's like, it was the pandemic, and I just wanted to write something a little bit happier. So it's like actually just like a nice story that he wrote, like a young adult novel kind of thing. So I'll check that out and let you guys know how that is.
Nice.
All right, let's go to my number 1, and also has a new movie out for it, Halloween.
Oh man,
the classic music. I'm gonna put it in right here, and editor Frank's gonna be mad about it.
I don't know.
So classic. Jamie Lee Curtis, had a bit of a crush on her in the first movie. I'm not gonna lie. And
how many movies do they have out now? Like 7 or 8?
Oh, there's at least there's a ton of them. Man. But it's just so freaking good. And the newer ones are good. They kind of remind me of 80s movies in a way, which is nice. Is what I want.
Yeah.
And they're worth the watch, and they're free on Peacock. So just watch Peacock. They're on there. Yeah. I'm saving the new one that just came out for Halloween Day. That and Werewolf by Night I'm saving for Halloween Day. That'll be my thing. I hand out candy and watch good movies. That's what I do. But yeah, Halloween's so good. What do you think about that movie? What were some of the things you remember the most?
The suspense. It was all. I mean, it's not gory so much, or it's Jaws. On Earth, it's all kind of. You don't see Mike Myers very much, but he's coming, and it's just that kind of anxiety.
Right there. The fact that he just keeps coming. Like he walks slow and he just is not stopping. And that anxiety, it almost makes you like, oh, I don't like this, And it's just a kitchen knife. He's using just a damn kitchen knife the entire time.
It could be a number 2 pencil. It doesn't matter. He's gonna be there behind you with whatever he can find. It's like, oh shit, that's fucking scary. Yeah.
Halloween, my number 1. Music, iconic. The villain, the best. It's actually James Kirk mask he's wearing that they painted white.
That's right.
So yeah. It is great. And I'll even throw out this side suggestion. There's a TikTok out of a dad who does this thing where he just randomly dresses as Mike Myers and like goes to the barbecue. Or one of my favorite episodes is they're camping, and he didn't tell his wife that he's going to do the Mike Myers thing. And so he just leaves the camp trailer as Mike Myers, and she's like, son of a bitch. Like, she's so pissed at him. And he gets on a bicycle and just starts riding around the camp, like to the other trailers and stuff. She's like, can you get inside? You're embarrassing me. That's just great. Oh, it's so good.
Oh, man. So,
Yeah.
did they ever explain why he doesn't die? Because I mean, they burned him, they cut off his head. I
Yeah.
mean,
There are no, they don't really explain it much. They don't really explain like his fireproof abilities because that's totally a
right?
thing.
Yeah,
Um, but they don't really explain it. I know for like Jason, Friday the 13th, there's a whole backstory where he's like gone to hell and he's come back and there's this girl who has psychic powers. Like it's a whole crazy story.
yeah.
Um, but for Mike Myers, it's not quite as clear on why he's able to
They
survive so
just
many hits.
go to the next movie. Well, he's still alive. Check it out.
The last
Yeah,
Halloween movie that came out that's still relatively new is like 2019, whatever. We reviewed it on the podcast, me and Squeaks.
yeah.
And the entire time, it's just like, he's not dead. I'm telling you guys, you have to remove limbs and put them in different planets. Like, he's not dead yet. And sure enough, it's this thing where it's like, everybody's celebrating he's dead. It's like, oh, these people are all going to die.
Right. It'd be good to see like the beginning of each of his movies if you saw it, but didn't if it wasn't really explained until later, kind of an Easter egg or something like that. If you see somebody in the graveyard digging, and a
Yeah.
different looking man every time, so you find out later that his spirit possesses a different person, a different physically fit man every time, and he's actually digging to bring up the mask to put it back on, and now
Oh,
he
yeah.
assumes that persona
Like
again.
it's the mask that's actually the villain or something like that.
Or like,
Or,
yeah, I mean, he's possessed, but he wants to put on that same mask every time.
oh,
So he
that's, yeah,
possesses a different body for each movie.
that'd be cool. Like
Yeah, but
Fallen. Ooh,
you
that's a
don't
good
see
movie too.
nothing. You just happen to drive past a cemetery and there's a guy digging or something like that until like 3 or 4 movies in, then you realize like, oh shit, that's he keeps just coming back in a different body.
Yeah.
That'd be dope.
As I'm making this list, though, there's all kinds of like 90s movies that I'm excited for. That's gonna be
Yeah.
next week, guys. We're gonna do 90s horror films. And there's a but I just said Fallen, and that's definitely like, ooh, that's high up there. That's pretty
Yeah.
good.
There's so many good. I mean, yeah, 80s and 90s. It was like there's so many good movies, period, in the 80s and 90s, but especially horror movies.
Well, the key is that they change over time. So, like in the 80s, definitely slasher films, right? In the 90s, we got to this other thing where they amped up the psychological horror stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
And the scale, everything's a lot bigger. It's ensemble cast now. Think of like Final Destination. It's all about the
yeah.
ensemble.
Yeah,
It's, by the way, 1990. Yeah, but yeah, it's a group
yeah,
of people, not just the one person being hunted down.
yeah.
And so the 90s is different. And then you talk about modern horror, which we're gonna go from like 2000 and up, which I think is 13 Ghosts, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah, which good luck that being number one. But you also have Heredity. You also have the new It. And it's
yeah,
just like, what can we do with visual effects because we have them now, and so
yeah.
you really get some crazy stuff.
Jeez, it's crazy.
All right, guys, we're gonna be going over to our 2 indie corner reviews, and then we'll close the show with you in just a moment. All right, Jonathan, that's it for us this week. This has been a great week. Any recommendations before we head out?
Avenue 5, we talked about it
Avenue
earlier.
5,
I've been
yeah.
watching that lately. It's such a good show. Season 2 just started. Check it out. It's a great kind of comedy in space. If you're interested in that. It was the makers of Veep, right?
Makers of Veep. Yep.
Yeah, and we're watching it on HBO. So if you haven't seen that, check it out on HBO Max.
Yep.
I've also been playing Raft. I mean, I know it's not a very new game, but it's entertaining for me. So check out
Yeah.
Raft.
Are you playing it? You're playing it on the PC or are you doing the Steam Deck?
I tried it on the Steam Deck. It was hard
doesn't
because I
play
had
too
to
well.
reassign all the controls. It was one of the
Yeah.
games that hasn't been optimized for it yet, and
We'll
I'm
get
too
into
dumb to assign the controls right. So I kept dying. So I gave up on that.
My Steam Deck is now an emulated machine and
Yeah,
playing it like a
playing
champ.
everything.
I was on the
Man.
cruise playing some Steam Deck on there. Ended up
Yeah,
beating a Kirby game. I've been playing a lot of Game Boy Advance games on it,
nice.
so it's been a lot of fun.
Man.
But yeah, great recommendations, guys. Go check them out. And we have a new interview coming up pretty soon with our finale, and I'm excited for the guest. You guys are gonna like the guest. We've had them on before. One of my favorites. You know what? I'm gonna say it right now. Probably my favorite. Check that out, guys. All right, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.